Patriots, Americans, citizens, American citizens, welcome to the Raw Feed. My name is Brett Siegel. I am filling in for the great Gary Franchi. We are covering the news from for you live from our Next News Network studios, streaming to millions of people worldwide on YouTube, Rumble, X. I always broadcast to you live from my safe space down here in Northern Florida, where I'm always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and patriarchy. And if you're watching right now, do me a favor, text this stream to someone who needs to hear the truth. When we use our text messages, we actually can bypass our social media overlords, and that is really great for our viewership. For our ex-viewers, repost this show to bypass the algorithm and wake up your followers. It's week 21 of Donald Trump's return to the White House, and the establishment is in full meltdown mode. But here's what makes us different. We don't just report the news, we interact with you, our viewers, in the live chat. So your reactions, your thoughts, your voice matters here. So definitely send us your chats, definitely send us your Rumble rants, your super chats. We'll be featuring them on screen between the segments for the world to see, and we really appreciate them. On this day in history, June 17th, 1972, 5 men were arrested breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate complex. Now, that scandal brought down a president who tried to cover up crimes. Today, we're witnessing something far more sinister. It's absolutely insane. The assassination of a Democrat who dared to speak truth. Iran racing towards nuclear weapons. Illegal immigration chaos erupting nationwide. Mentally deranged feminists throwing themselves in front of moving vehicles, and rioters learning hard lessons about what happens when you play stupid games. Leftists, progressive narcissism on full display. We're going to get to all of it. Now, if you want to support independent journalism, hit those donation links in the description. We do this without corporate overlords, just patriots like you keeping the real news alive. And speaking of support, check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Display your swag with pride, especially in June. Pride Month. Okay, today's show exposes 5 explosive stories that the mainstream media is desperately trying to bury. And we're going to reveal how a political hit job was executed in Minnesota with police watching helplessly. We're going to show you President Trump confronting Iran's nuclear threat while Democrats play politics with American lives. You'll see legal immigrants standing up against line cutters as ICE rescues thousands of missing children. We are going to expose entitled rioters playing victim after attacking law enforcement. And we're going to celebrate the most pro-small business legislation in American history. Just buckle up. And make sure you're following us on Rumble and X. The censors can't stop the truth when we are basically everywhere. Now, join our YouTube channel memberships for exclusive perks, special acknowledgments in the chat, behind-the-scenes uploads, access to the Next News team, and our members-only 24/7 Discord chat. I actually, after our show last night, I went and joined the chat. It's like it's a fun motley crew of folks. You all know who you are. We remember all that. It was a really, really good time. I went on the Discord video call last night after the show and, saw some familiar faces, some new faces. We're building a strong, powerful community of patriots who are committed and who care. Each membership level unlocks new benefits for true patriots who want more than just the daily show. Now, here's something the establishment doesn't want you to know. Just like Watergate exposed corruption at the highest levels, today's stories reveal a coordinated assault on American values. But unlike 1972, we have citizen journalists, independent media, and millions of awakened patriots ready to fight back. The truth can't be stopped when we stand together. Now get ready for hard-hitting analysis, exclusive video footage they don't want you to see, and your chance to be a part of this conversation. Now, this is interactive news for a digital age, where your voice matters as much as mine. The Raw Feed starts right now. Let's do this. Okay, we got our first topic: tax cuts. Billion. All right, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk a little bit in the chat. We got from our boy. We got hi Todd, Brett Todd, producer brothers. That's right. Mr. Todd crushed it last night. I don't know if you were watching it last night, but he basically took the wheel. We had an incredibly amazing show. There was the commentary was so utterly fire that it was like an intellectual EMP that basically wiped out our connection, and ultimately we had to save the day. And Todd was right here. He took the wheel, and everything was great. Tom B420, keep going. Brett, thank you so much. Sabrina, you're smashing that like button. That's right. You want to smash that like button. You absolutely want to smash that like button. This is why we're here. Let's see. Nikki Rev ASMR Plus. It's okay for differing views. Doesn't mean MAGA is falling apart. That's absolutely right. That is absolutely right. We have, this is one of the things about the conservative movement is that there's enough room for all of us, and we actually have room for people who disagree with each other, and that's okay. I love the libertarians. They're pissing me off a little bit, but I still love the libertarians. And we're gonna get to that later in the show. We've got a whole segment about that. Jerome Olson, yes, very well handled for the power problem. We really do appreciate that, and thank you for sticking with us last night. That was really, really great. Dave Fiorillo, Siegel Brothers, 3 thumbs up. Dave is my man. I used to have a pretty sizable social media presence until we were basically cut clean by our social media overlords one day in October in 2018, and Dave was right there building the entire thing up. Mr. Pothead Kenny, keep up the great work, Brett. I appreciate that so much. All right, let's get to it. On June 17th, 1972, 5 burglars were arrested at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C., setting off a scandal that would bring down President Nixon. Which room number, this is our trivia question today, which room number at the Democratic National Committee headquarters did the burglars break into? Really, guys? A, room 214, B, room 600, C, room 723, D, room 101. Really? That was too easy. Okay. All right. So I want you guys to think about that for a little bit while we talk about it. Make sure you go ahead and Google it or GPT it. Look, they told you small business was dead. They said Main Street couldn't compete. They told you small business was dead. They said Main Street couldn't compete with Wall Street. They lied. Right now, behind closed doors in Washington, the most powerful tax revolution in American history is being unleashed. 1 bill, 1 signature, 1 million new jobs, no auto pen. But here's what they're not telling you. While Democrats scream about protecting the poor, they're actively fighting against the very tax cuts that would save working families $13,000 a year. The establishment wants you broke, dependent, and grateful for the scraps that fall off their table. Now, President Trump has other plans. And what you're about to see is going to change everything you thought about who is really fighting for the American dream. You're going to want to keep watching. Now, here's the hard truth about protecting what you built. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That means $100,000 savings today becomes $50,000 by 2031. You see it at the pump. You see it at the grocery store. You see it when you're buying your kids' toys. You see it everywhere. But here's a proven way to protect your wealth. It's gold. Gold. This is why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to safeguard your savings with physical gold or silver. No pressure, no call centers, just honest guidance and transparent pricing. Now, right now, with qualified accounts, you can get a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Visit nextnewsgold.com to learn more. Don't just protect your wealth, preserve its power. Now, the battle lines are drawn. On one side, President Trump and Republicans are fighting for the largest tax cut in American history. On the other hand, Democrat, communists, socialists like Chuck Schumer are spreading lies about Medicaid cuts while protecting illegal aliens who drain the system. Watch Kelly Loeffler, head of the Small Business Administration, explain exactly what's at stake. She's meeting with senators who understand that Main Street is the backbone of America. This is not just another political promise. It's economic warfare against the establishment. Take a look at clip 1.
Hey everyone, Kelly Loeffler. I've just come from a meeting with my former colleagues in the Senate. They understand how important small business is. The One Big Beautiful Bill is a small business bill. In fact, it's the most important small business bill we've ever had in the history of this country. Why? Because it makes permanent the 23% pass-through deduction. It creates immediate expensing for capital investments, for R&D, and for Made in America. It's pro-worker. It creates more take-home pay for our workers. No tax on tip, no tax on overtime. It doubles the child tax credit. Many of these benefits happen now in 2025. That's the urgency in getting this bill passed. We know Main Street is spring-loaded for growth, for investment and hiring. I'm so grateful for President Trump fighting for small business every single day, and the SBA is so proud to support this bill.
This is absolutely incredible. There it is, making the 23% pass-through deduction permanent. Sad thing is, maybe this is a little bit schadenfreude, but I cannot wait to see the leftist commies screech and scream about having more monies and more job opportunities. You know it's coming. Immediate expensing for capital investments, no tax on tips or overtime. This is groundbreaking. This is how you unleash American prosperity. For the leftist nihilists, this is a living nightmare. They can't stand it. They're going to either have to acknowledge that they hate money, that they hate having more opportunities, or they're just going to have to acknowledge that Trump is doing the right thing. The Democrats, they're panicking. Senator Baldwin claims that this bill rigs the tax code for big corporations. Now, here's what she won't tell you. This gives a 15% tax cut to hardworking Americans earning between $30,000 and $80,000. Watch her shameless deception. Run the clip.
Even worse, it is also in service of finding every dollar that they can to pay for their scheme to rig the tax code for big corporations and their wealthy friends. The more I think about it, I'm struck by the idea that this provision so perfectly captures what this Republican Party has come to stand for. To tilt the tax code in favor of the rich and huge corporations at all costs.
Give it a rest. I mean, why are you even talking about this at a pro-abortion? Why are these ladies standing in the background with these pro-Planned Parenthood signs? I mean, they're basically caught red-handed. These people will lie straight to your face while small businesses suffocate under their policies. But the numbers don't lie. For the first time in 4 years, taxes, not inflation, are small businesses' top concern. Why? Because President Trump is already winning the inflation battle. And now he's going for the knockout punch. Now, Loeffler breaks down the real impact on Fox News. Let's take a look.
Well, this bill is incredibly important. It'll deliver the largest tax cut in American history for our job creators and for working families. And as you just mentioned, it's small businesses. Look, these small business provisions, including making the pass-through deduction permanent, will unleash Main Street, including adding 1 million jobs, $750 billion in economic growth, not to mention what it does for working families. It puts on average $13,000 back into the pockets of hardworking families across this country. And so my message is that this One Big Beautiful Bill is pro-small business, it's pro-worker, and it puts America first by increasing the immediate expensing of investments in America. And that's what we need right now, because President Trump is already working on fair trade, on making sure we're deregulating. Now tax cuts, that's the number one concern of small businesses, is taxes for the first time in 4 years, thanks to President Trump getting inflation under control.
$750 billion in economic growth, 1 million new jobs, $13,000 back in working families' pockets. That's not rhetoric. That is simple math. But Chuck Schumer, He's out there claiming Republicans are cutting Medicaid for the people who need it. Of course, he's not talking about American citizens. He's talking about illegal immigrants. It's run-of-the-mill fear-mongering from one of the world's most infamous demagogues. Take a look at this clip.
Look, the bottom line is that the Republicans are trying to cut Medicaid for people who need it.
What a putz. What a putz. Trump has not touched any of the entitlement programs, even though we might have to talk about austerity measures at a certain point. But that's not what's happening here. He's wrong, Schumer. Okay, the bill protects Medicaid for Americans while stopping illegals from exploiting taxpayer programs. Okay, more of our tax money going to more of our citizens. No more Happy Meals for illegal immigrants. Okay, that's called putting America first. And that's what's really happening. Now, while Democrats fight for criminal illegal aliens, Tren de Aragua, will they fight for Tren de Aragua? Republicans are delivering historic relief to small business owners who've been crushed for years. Loeffler's passion tells the whole entire story. We're lucky to have her in Florida. Let's roll the clip.
Just came from a meeting with the Republican caucus where they were trying to solve problems for the American people, talking about cutting taxes for hardworking Americans, for small businesses, for protecting the entitlement programs for those who need it, for securing our border to prevent problems like this in the first place. This political theater is classic playbook of Chuck Schumer. The American people voted strongly against it November 5th, and they've also said that they want this tax cut passed. They want border security. They want opportunity for all Americans. And the Democrats are busy fighting for illegal criminal aliens while Republicans are fighting for the American people, for small businesses and hardworking Americans that deserve this tax cut while Democrats vote against it.
What a putz. This is the same guy who sat here on Capitol Hill, basically inciting violence against conservatives. We're talking about political theater versus real solutions. All right, Chuck Schumer is fighting for illegal criminals at an event that exalts the wholesale slaughter of millions of babies. You see the signs in the background that we fight for Planned Parenthood. What is he even talking about? He's literally sitting here talking about fighting for illegal aliens above the lives of millions and millions and millions of unborn babies. Can we show that meme? Yeah, okay. Liberals fight to keep these and fight to kill these. I couldn't think of anything more salient right now to illustrate the utter hypocrisy of liberal Democrats, especially world-class demagogues like Chuck Schumer. Now, Republicans, on the other hand, fight for life, prosperity, for American flourishing. Look at that flag flying over the SBA offices. It represents opportunity returning to America. The one big, beautiful bill isn't just legislation. It's liberation for Main Street. Take a look at this clip.
Thanks to President Trump, opportunity and prosperity are returning to America. The one big, beautiful bill will deliver the largest tax cut in history. It will make the small business tax deduction permanent, creating 1 million jobs and billions in economic opportunity. When you see the flag flying above our offices here, we'll remember all that it stands for, ever thankful for the privilege of working under its streaming stars and stripes, and for the most pro-business president in American history.
The most pro-small business bill in American history. This is what it means to fight for the little guy. This is what it means to fight for your citizen. This is the most pro-business president that we've ever had. The choice is clear. This isn't about red versus blue. Unlike the commie DEI policies that have infected our society on a systemic level, the big, beautiful bill doesn't discriminate between Democrats, Republicans, races, sexes, or anything else other than citizenship. It's about prosperity versus poverty, freedom versus dependence, truth versus lies. Democrats, they want you weak and begging for the scraps that they toss off the table like a dog, like an animal. And Trump wants you to be strong and to thrive. Now, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. Got my final coming up. I've got my final thought coming up right now. This matters because small business is America. This is the backbone on which this country was created. Every job created, every family lifted up, every entrepreneur who takes that leap, that spends his last dollar to try to amplify his life and to create generational wealth for his family. That's the heartbeat of our republic. Democrats expose themselves. They fight tooth and nail for illegal aliens while American families struggle to put food on the table. And they lie about protecting the poor while blocking tax cuts that would save working families $13,000. They chose their side. Trump chose yours. Your side. One big, beautiful bill. Permanent tax relief. Immediate results. No more waiting for Washington to remember that Main Street even exists in the first place. You know, this is economic warfare, and for once, since a long time I can remember, we are winning. Now, here's a controversial question. Should any politician who votes against this be banned from ever claiming that they support working families? Drop a Y for yes, drop an N for no in the comments. Let's see what we've got here. I want to see what we've got cooking here. And hey, show your support for real journalism. Check out our Next News merch shop linked below, and let's make America prosperous again. Now, let's see what you have to say in the chat room. All right, we're going to look down here. Let's see. Sabrina Dish. I didn't give a rat's arse what or who you are. That's right. That's right. You know, listen, in America, we don't. We don't. It's true. It's true. This is truly a melting pot. Like, the ideology is ultimately what is going to make the big difference. Duty to rebel. Art of war is great for wisdom. I would actually also check out the 50 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. That's actually a great book, and he also invokes Sun Tzu. Check it out in the chat. Have you ever read that, the 50 Laws of Power? Anyone read that? It's a great book. You should check it out. Let's see. Okay, let's see who else. Let's see what else we got. What happened to Tom B 420? What happened to Amber Turd? I assume you mean Amber Heard. Well, listen, this is what happened when a narcissist tries to go out and make a mockery of other people. This is what happens when a projecting, gaslighting narcissist poops on your bed and tries to disgrace the legacy of a. Listen, I'm not a big fan of Johnny Depp's politics, but let's just say, like, she was the wrong one in this situation. That's just my point of view. Okay. Tom B. Who else? What do we got here? Amber 4 got 24-hour cacti. 24 hours cacti. You guys are too much. You guys are too much. Mary B. Crabtree, God bless you. Thank you for being her. Thank you for being her, Brett. Here, Brett. I appreciate you too, Mary. That means a lot to me. Sure, you gospel. Can we keep this guy? Yes. Yes, you can. Okay. All right, on to our second topic. They come in the dead of night, masked, armed, wearing police uniforms. But this wasn't a robbery. This was an execution. This was a flat-out execution, a political execution. Minnesota Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband are dead, or as some people might want to say recently, unalived. Shot down in their home while Brooklyn Park police watched the killer walk through their front door. 45 names on a hit list. Federal and state officials marked for death. The mainstream media calls it random violence. But when a Democrat who broke ranks gets murdered by someone with a list of political targets, that is not chaos. That is a message. And what you're about to see is going to shock you to the core. And this is what happens when the establishment decides that you know too much. We're going to need you to keep watching, okay? We got OPWF.com. Now, gold has always been the go-to safe haven during inflation and global uncertainty. And right now, prices are soaring to all-time highs. That's why smart investors are looking at OPWF Explorations Incorporated, trading on the U.S. market under the ticker OPWEF. OPWF is a gold exploration company operating in the legendary Abitibi Gold Belt of Quebec, one of the richest gold-producing regions in the world, responsible for over 190 million ounces of gold from more than 120 mines. Their flagship properties, Bazooka and Arrowhead, are surrounded by multi-billion-dollar players like Yamana Gold, and they've just kicked off a massive 20,000-meter drill program across these primo sites. Backing them, legendary gold investor Eric Sprott, who invested $1 million of his own money, clear validation from one of the most trusted names in the business. With strong infrastructure, proximity to proven mines, and leadership from CEO Blake Morgan, a third-generation miner, OPWF is strategically positioned for discovery. Shares are currently trading around 11 cents, but with exploration underway, the upside could be absolutely explosive. Visit OPWF.com to see their latest presentation. That is OPWF.com, OPAWICA.com. Now, the evidence is damning. A coordinated assassination dressed up as random violence. Acting U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson laid out the horrifying details. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a political hit job. Listen to Thompson reveal the killer's methodical planning. A hyper-realistic mask, something you might find Tom Cruise wearing in a Mission Impossible movie. A tactical vest. Police lights flashing. He studied his victims. He knew their schedules. He had their names written down. Check out this clip.
The Brooklyn Park police officers fired at Belter as he rushed into the home, but he escaped into the home and out the back. Officers recovered Belter's 9mm Beretta, along with the body armor and the mask, behind the home along his path of flight when he fled on foot. They later searched Belter's car, where they found 5 more firearms, including assault-style rifles and a large quantity of ammunition. Belter also had in his car notebooks containing a list of more than 45 Minnesota state and federal elected officials, including Representative Hortman. Now, Belter planned his attack carefully. He researched his victims and their families. He used the internet and other tools to find their addresses and names, the names of their family members. He conducted surveillance of their homes and took notes about the location of their homes.
I think it's insane how, we hear from communists how we have to have gun control, but they're, that's to protect themselves from themselves because they're the most violent people on planet Earth. They've caused more death and destruction in the 20th century than ever before in humankind. 45 names, Minnesota state and federal officials. Representative Hortman was on that list, and now she has been unalived. She's dead. But here's where it gets truly sinister. Brooklyn Park police arrived before the killer entered the home. They saw him. They engaged, and somehow he still got inside. Thompson's next revelation changes absolutely everything. Take a look at the clip.
Belter then traveled to Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and the home of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman. At approximately 3:30 a.m., Belter arrived at Representative Hortman's house in his black SUV with the police license plates. He parked in the driveway and left the emergency lights on his SUV flashing as if he was a police officer. Belter approached Representative Hortman's home, again dressed as a police officer, wearing the tactical vest and body armor, and wearing that hyper-realistic mask. He was armed and carrying a flashlight. Before he entered the home, 2 Brooklyn Park police officers arrived at the scene. They too had been dispatched to check on Representative Hortman after learning of the shooting of Senator Hoffman. When they arrived at the scene, they saw Belter's black SUV parked in the driveway with the emergency lights flashing, and they saw Belter standing in front of the house several feet from the door. When Belter saw the officers get out of the car, he drew his weapon and began firing. He rushed into the house through the front door, firing into it. He repeatedly fired into the house. And when he entered, he murdered Representative Hortman and her husband, Mark.
You know, in cases like this, I don't distinguish between Democrat and Republican. This is an absolutely devastating and heartbreaking story that is going to affect the lives of people to come for a very long time. And, you know, do I appreciate that she broke ranks? Yeah, of course I do. I appreciate when people like act with integrity, even if they have differing beliefs than the ones that I hold. But what this family is, this is going to change the lives of their kids for absolutely ever. They're orphans now. Now think about that. Officers on the scene, the shooter in the driveway, emergency lights flashing like he was one of them, and then gunfire erupts, and then he rushes inside to complete his mission. It was like he was given a red carpet to go and complete his mission. The killer didn't just murder Hortman and her husband. Their service dog, Gilbert, was shot too. And I know a lot of us are pet owners, and we care about our pets like they are a part of the family. Their children had to put him down. And this wasn't just a killing. It was a complete destruction of an entire family. We got the image of this beautiful dog, and she looks like a nice enough lady. And you know, we can all disagree politically, but this is where some of the push comes to shove. You know, I mean, the same people who murdered this person's family, you know, they didn't care. You know, the only thing they lamented about the assassination attempt on President Trump was that the assassin wasn't a better shot. This is what they lament. And we can still hold these people in our hearts and wish the best for their family. You know, this is the total annihilation of a family. Every living thing in that house was targeted. Now, that's not random violence. That is sending a message. This is how communists, this is how socialists, this is how leftists like to send a message. Even Hortman's colleague, Heather Williams, can barely process what happened. Watch her struggle to make sense of this targeted assassination. Take a look.
I wonder if you can give us some reflections on your friend, someone that you worked with so closely.
Yeah, I'd be, honored to. I feel like was the honor of a lifetime to know her. And the truth is she is exactly what we need in this moment. Her loss is felt so deeply, and it is tragic for her community and her family and the state of Minnesota. She led in such a way that was principled, and she was fiercely competitive, but she never lost sight of what she was competing for. It was not about a title. It was not about power or personal gain. It was solely about helping a community and making life better. And I feel like at a time when things are so tough, there's so much heavy news happening, she just exemplified what we need. And we're going to take some time, I think, to really navigate this. My heart breaks for Minnesotans and all of her colleagues and family, and the recovery of Senator Hoffman and his wife. There's a lot to do there, but I think we are going to be guided by her legacy, and we'll try to live that every day.
Principled, never about power. And this is something we want in our politicians, even the ones that we disagree with. And, you know, we would hope that we could more often reach across the aisle. You know, but these aren't qualities that get you randomly murdered. Being principled, never about power. You know, these are words that get you eliminated when you step out of line. And here's what they're not telling you: the timing, the precision, the kill list. This was professional. Someone wanted Melissa Hortman silenced, and they made sure the message was clear. Cross us, and this will be your fate. Tim Walz, what a putz, deleted every social post praising the shooter. Every single last one. Because he doesn't want you to know what he actually thinks. He thinks you're just going to memory hold this. We're not going to memory hold this. You don't scrub your social media for a random killer. You scrub it when you realize that you've been connected to something bigger, when you realize that your rhetoric directly led to this assassination. 5 more firearms in the car, assault rifles, massive ammunition cache. This wasn't ending with Horton. She was just the first name crossed off the list. And who ordered the hit? Well, who benefits from unaliving Democrats who dare to think differently? The mainstream media wants you to believe that this was mental illness, random violence, another tragic incident. But when someone dresses up as a cop, carries a political hit list, and executes an elected official while police watch helplessly, that's not random. That's professional. That is coordinated. That's a warning to every politician who might consider breaking ranks and maybe voting for Trump to support this country and to support American citizens. That is psychopathic, narcissistic leftists doing what psychopathic, narcissistic leftists do. They killed her. They killed her husband. They killed the family dog. They destroyed everything about this family. This family is never going to be the same. And somewhere, someone is crossing her name off a list, asking, who's next? Now, if you got value from this report, tap subscribed. My final thought is next. Now, this execution should terrify every American, not because a politician died, but because of why she died. Melissa Hortman was murdered for stepping out of line, for having principles, for refusing to play the game. And she was distraught by her decision, too. They didn't just kill her. They sent a message written in blood. You conform to our leftist communist narrative or you die. You will lose your life if you try to vote with Trump. Now, Brooklyn Park Police watched a masked assassin enter her home. 44 other names remain on that list. Think about that. How many other people are out there? Right now, elected officials are looking over their shoulders, wondering if their principles are worth their lives. It's something we all should ask ourselves. We all have kids. We all have lives. We all have things that we need. Is it worth it to go out and say what we think? This is how republics die, not through votes, but through violence against those who dare to dissent. The establishment media will memory hold this story. Trust me, this is going away very soon. We will keep it alive on this channel. You know, they call it random. They're going to blame mental health. I sort of agree, except, you know, when we talk about strange cluster B psychopathy, narcissism, you know, I mean, is that mental health or is it just the grip of Satan and a demon taking over these people's bodies? Like, you know, what are we talking about? Mental health or evil? Now, my question to you tonight, is this a mental health problem? Or is this just plain evil? Hit Y for yes. Hit N for no. Let us know what you think in the chat. Comment below. We're going to be talking about this a lot. Now, you want to fight back with truth. Now, grab your next news gear at the link below. Now, let's see what you have to say in the chat room. Drop us some ruble in the tip jar if you can for super chat. Drop us some ruble. Let's see. My money is on Waltz being the ringleader. Waltz is the communist. That's Teresa Duvenant. Waltz is the ringleader. I totally agree with you. Listen, Waltz needs to be shackled up. He needs to be taken out in the paddy wagon, and someone needs to kick the ever-loving bejeezies out of this guy. This guy is a total schmuck. He's a total putz. Maureen Croswell. Yes, when they yield to it. Yes, absolutely. I agree. Joan Lauro, disappointed in this video and you. A lot of words. A lot of words. I'm sorry you feel that way. It's a little complicated today. Angie Warren, mental health don't make you a murderer. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Mental health don't make you a murderer. Being a murderer makes you a murderer. Jeremy Olson, slap tampon Tim with wet noodles. You are fun. Yeah, that's really fun. Okay, we got a super chat. MAGA, get the illegals out. Thank you, our boy. We appreciate that. We appreciate your help. We're trying to send Gary to NATO next week. I'm going to be here hanging out with you guys next week while Gary is over in NATO, and we could use all the help that we can get. The Rumblebot, support us by becoming a subscriber, just $5 a month. That's probably not one I should be reading. All right. Lynn says, and something needs to be done about the companies who are giving illegals jobs. I agree with you. I agree with you about that. That's an important thing that we don't really think about. They just do the jobs that Americans don't want to do. That's absolutely ridiculous. Okay. They're taking the jobs away from Americans. What they're doing is basically sticking a monkey wrench in the American economy. And this is one of the things I think would be absolutely helpful if we were to treat the enablers just as we treat the actual criminals themselves. Okay. All right. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what one Los Angeles rioter learned when a rubber bullet may have cost him his eye. He was throwing bricks at cops, bottles too. Part of the No King's Day riot that turned downtown into a war zone. Now he's crying victim, claiming the police just started shooting. Countless rubber bullets for no reason. He was just hanging out, doing a mostly peaceful, throwing bricks at cops in a mostly peaceful way. And they just randomly started shooting at him. But here's the truth that they won't tell you. When you attack law enforcement, when you block roads, when you terrorize your fellow citizens, there will be consequences. Real ones, painful ones, often permanent ones. You will get instant karma, especially in Florida, my home state. Now, Florida figured this out years ago, and California is learning the hard way. What you're about to see is the difference. What you're about to see is a little bit jarring, and it's a little bit hard to watch. It's going to hit hard if you have kids. You might want to close their ears and eyes. But when chaos erupts and entitlement meets reality, you need something to protect your future. This is where collagen comes in. As we age, our body's collagen production crashes, dropping significantly by our 40s and declining 1% yearly after. Collagen makes up a third of your skin's protein, giving it the strength and structure. And that's why I trust Ageless Multi-Collagen. 5 key collagen types from 4 premium sources, hydrolyzed for easy absorption. No clumping, no odor, just smooth blending into your morning routine. Clean ingredients only. No GMOs, artificial junk, gluten, antibiotics, or hormones. Every order helps feed hungry children through NoKidHungry.org. NoKidHungry.org. Get 51% off health healthwithgary.com. That's healthwithgary.com. Don't just protect your wealth, preserve your youth. Now, the following footage speaks for itself. Watch what happens when entitled protesters think they own the streets. This isn't peaceful protest. This is what happens when they think that consequences disappear. Let's take a look at the clip.
Oh! Oh! Oh, goodness.
Run it back. Run it back one more time. Can we do that one more time, please? We sort of have to. So this is really creepy.
Oh!
Goodness gracious. I do not find this funny at all. I do not find this funny at all, but I mean, let's face it. I mean, let's paint a little picture here. You're driving home. You're picking up your kid from work. You're on the way back. You got a child in the car, and you get mobbed by an angry mob that you don't know what they're going to do. It's like the Ayatollahs when they say death to America. You're better off believing them. You are better off believing that they mean what they say. And if they are brazen enough to stand right in front of your car, a moving vehicle, what are you going to do? Pedal to the metal, baby. I'm sorry. Like, that's just not like if it's me and my child or someone that I care about in the car, pedal to the metal. You know, that stuff is hard to watch. Okay. I don't want to see people get run over by a car, but that's some literal instant karma happening right on the spot. And this, to be honest, like this, I mean, I hope this serves as a warning sign to people who try to do that. Now, in Florida, DeSantis solved this problem. He gave citizens the permission to defend themselves against road blocking mobs. Now, guess what? Road blocking mobs stopped immediately. I haven't heard about any recently. I'm a resident of Florida, but in Los Angeles, that's a different story. Can we take a look at the clip from yesterday? The "Let my people go." Can we do that? Pause it. This girl like acting like she's the Hulk, trying to sit here in front of this gigantic truck, this gigantic Chevy, like she's the Hulk, like she's gonna stop it from going somewhere. Okay, let's keep it going. Let's play it.
No! Let my people go! Let my people go! Let them go! Let them go! Let them go! Let them go!
Hey, get off the truck! Get off the truck!
Let my people go! Let my people go! Let our people go! Let my people go!
Y'all gotta move! Y'all gotta move!
You won't take my fucking people! Don't take my fucking people! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Look out! You're gonna kill me! No! I can't! Don't touch me!
Don't kill me! Don't kill me! You're standing in front of the car, okay? And this is what I mean when I talk about narcissistic mental illness, okay? I mean, there's something about a certain cluster B personalities is that they have something that's called suicidal ideation. And this is just a weird way to express the suicidal ideation. This is just a very, very weird way to make a spectacle out of wanting to end your own life. Like this, don't kill me while you're standing in front of a car. You are standing in front of the car. How about just move aside? Just move aside. You don't want to get killed. Just move aside. Okay. Now, and this is why Alana, and this is why I think it's important to understand, like, you know, like this is an ICE truck. This is an official truck, but a lot of people over the months have had to stare down moms like this who are not driving official vehicles. All they are is normal, regular citizens who just want to get home from work, who just want to live their lives and take care of their kids and earn a paycheck and go home and pick up their kids from work, and they just want to get home. Okay? Pedal to the metal, baby. Listen, listen, remember, this is what I always say. This is a rule of thumb that I always go by. You know, when you are being violently attacked by a crowd of angry circus clowns, there's only one thing to do. You go for the juggler. And you don't look back. Okay? This rioter thought he could throw bricks at cops without there being any consequences, but reality has other plans. Now listen to him cry victim after learning that rubber bullets don't discriminate between political parties. Check out the clip.
They just started opening fire on us, just spraying an obscene amount of rubber bullets, just fractured my cheek, and it tore part of my eye open, and I had to go into surgery for about 4 hours or 5 hours to get it repaired that night. And it's questionable how much vision I'm going to be able to get back, or, you know, how much I'm going to be able to see out of my right eye right now. It's just a giant question mark.
Play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I don't know what to tell you. You know, they just started opening fire on us randomly. They just randomly started opening fire on us. No, they returned fire after you threw bricks and bottles at law enforcement. Actions do have consequences, you know? Every 4-year-old or 5-year-old knows that you look both ways before you cross the road. You know, but he's the victim, of course. He is the victim, of course. This is peak gaslighting and projection. This is narcissistic gaslighting and projection. When you're rioting, you're lucky they were only rubber bullets. You are lucky that there were only rubber bullets. Now, meanwhile, Representative Ilhan Omar continues her anti-American crusade. Of course, she wants to invoke American values, as, you know, like she always loves to do, like they always love to do. Total gaslighting. The woman who fled Somalia, you know, an actual dictatorship, is, you know, now calls America one of the worst countries on earth. You know, watch this insanity. Let's take a look at the clip.
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world, to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights, while our president spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade. It is really shocking, and it should be a wake-up call for all Americans to say this is not the country we were born in. This is not the country we believe in. This is not the country our founding fathers imagined, and this is not the country that is supported by our Constitution, our ideals, our values. And we should all collectively be out in the streets rejecting what is taking place this week.
Our founding fathers. Yeah, okay. Listen, she married her brother so that she could get citizenship here. She is the weirdest politician I've come across in a long time. You know, she grew up in a real dictatorship, but then claims that she's never seen anything like American law enforcement maintaining order. Maybe that's true. It's been a long time since we've actually had a president who's willing to do that. But the cognitive dissonance here is absolutely staggering. I will say this to you, Miss Omar, please, if you hate it here so much, go back to Somalia. You clearly hate it here. You clearly do not belong here. I love how she invokes the founding fathers and our founding principles as though that they are hers, you know, as if they mean something to her. You know, and then there's Mark Ruffalo, right? Net worth $100 million. His hot take: it's not illegal aliens destroying communities. It's billionaires. Watch this Hollywood hypocrite blame everyone but the actual criminals. Let's take a look at the clip.
It's not the immigrants, it's the billionaires. Well, we're seeing what's happening. First of all, we're understanding that the immigrants aren't the criminals. If you look at the statistics, most of the crimes that are committed in this country are by white people, that non-immigrants, and they add to our economy by the billions. And so for every horrible thing that you have to go through in life, you get an equal gift in return. And the gift of this time is that we get to see who the true villains are. We get to see who's really making our lives unbearable and who's making us so desperate. It's not the immigrants, it's the billionaires. And it's time to take our country back from that extreme wealth that has its hands all over the power of the nation and become a beautiful, burgeoning democracy that works for the people, not just the very wealthy. America is us, this incredible panoply of different kinds of people. Be brave, man. We live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. But if you want to be free, you better be brave.
Hulk smash. Hulk smash. He's got a hat that says immigrant. This totally reminds me of when, you know, I'm old enough to remember a time before Bernie Sanders became a millionaire, and he would go on TV saying, "What we need to do is take care of. We need to get the millionaires and the billionaires, the millionaires and the billionaires," and then he bought his 8th house and then became a millionaire himself. And then all of a sudden he stopped talking about millionaires. We need to talk about the billionaires and the trillionaires now. Total and utter like hypocrisy from some of the richest people on planet Earth who like will never have to want for anything ever again. You know, like if you really care that much, get rid of all that money, send it all to the places that you want it to go. Just don't bother us with this hypocrisy. You know, Ruffalo conflates legal immigrants with illegals while sitting on $100 million. You know, he claims that immigrants add billions to our economy while ignoring the cost of crime, from welfare, and from the social destruction that is caused by it. Now, here's what connects all these stories: entitlement, narcissism. The writer felt entitled to attack police without consequences. A barrage of rubber bullets, countless rubber bullets. Get off it. You walked right into that one. The chick standing in front of the ice truck invoked Moses as if she was sent by the Almighty herself. You know, Omar feels entitled to trash this country, the country that saved her life, while defending the criminals who are terrorizing it. And Ruffalo feels entitled to lecture working Americans while living in a gated mansion. Okay? They all learned from the same playbook: commit crimes, claim victimhood, attack America, demand sympathy, destroy communities, blame capitalism. But reality is catching up. We are classing up. Now, this is a classic narcissistic abuse tactic. It's called DARVO. DARVO: deny, attack, and reverse the victim and offender. Okay? This is a classic narcissistic abuse tactic. People see it in relationships all the time. People see it with their kids, with their parents. They see it all the time. But this is happening on such a grand scale. They are committing the crimes, and they are denying the fact that they are trying to commit the crimes. Okay, they are attacking us for crimes that they committed. Okay, this rioter may never see properly again, not because the police are brutal, but because he chose violence. The police were actually pretty tame compared to the violence that he himself was perpetrating. I mean, if you really think about that, one eye, he just lost one eye. He could have lost his life in that altercation. Now, Omar's constituents are waking up to her hatred for the very country that gave her refuge. Ruffalo's movies keep flopping because Americans are tired of being lectured by millionaire Hollywood hypocrites. And this is the Great Awakening. Actions have consequences. Throw bricks, catch a rubber bullet in your face. Maybe more. Hate America while representing Americans, you're going to face the voters. Lecture us from your mansion, and you can watch your influence crumble. Now, Florida proved it. When you make it clear that criminal behavior will be met with immediate, instant karmic consequences, the criminal behavior stops all of a sudden. Who'd have thunk? When you let rioters run wild, they escalate until someone loses an eye or worse. Now, the choice is simple: law and order or chaos and victimhood. Florida chose wisely. California is going to have to learn the hard way. One state protects its citizens. The other state protects the criminals. And one state is thriving while the other one is burning. People are flocking from California to move to Florida. If you value this report, I want you to tap subscribe, because my final thought is next. Now, this is about more than one rioter's eye or one politician's lies. This is about two different Americas. In one, you attack cops and face immediate consequences. In the other, you throw bricks and become a victim worthy of sympathy and social media praise. In one, we protect law-abiding citizens. In the other, we protect violent criminals. Now, the rioter chose his path. He picked up a brick, aimed it at a cop, and rolled the dice, and he lost. Now he wants your sympathy. Now he wants to whine about the countless rubber bullets. Omar fled actual tyranny and found freedom and solace in America, and then calls us the worst country on earth while defending those who would destroy it. Ruffalo made millions in the country that he now blames for everyone's problems. The entitlement ends where we expose it. Florida showed the way. Protect the innocent, punish the guilty. It's simple. And here's my question. Should every state adopt Florida's anti-riot laws? Yes or no in the comments. I really want to know what you think about this one. This one is an important one to me, because I live in Florida. I am a Florida native. I've lived in Florida my whole entire life. And I would love to know what you think. Should we adopt this rule for the entire country? Show us your love in the comments. Now let's see what we have to say in the chat room. Okay. Stand for law and order. Okay, check out our merch shop. Make sure you're linked in the description below. Okay, let's see what we got here. Who is watching? I live in Florida and absolutely love it here. Sydney Stone, me too. It is absolutely beautiful. Dave Fiorillo, my very good friend. Mental instability on display. You are absolutely right about that. I couldn't agree with you more. Tony, I love my state of Florida. Yes. Drop us some super chats. Do we have super chats cooking? How are we doing with super chats? Let's see. Do we love Florida? Give us a shout out for Florida. Give us a little bit. Give Florida a little bit of love. Sabrina, thank you for giving our next news shop link a little link here. Like, we love the leaky links. We love that. Sharu Gospel. I could do a nightmare. I could do a nightmare here by talking about my work. I'm so sorry to hear about that. Tom B420. I love Florida and I love my Sheriff Grady Judd. Let's see who else. Florida, duty to rebel, too humid. Well, you get used to that. You're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. It is absolutely humid here. You definitely have to take care about that. I love my sheriff, Billy Woods, Tony. Florida has got it right, from Mark Severance, my pop right there, hanging in there, hanging tight with us. Dave Fiorillo, willing to die for the cause by a truck, but not willing by cop. This Dave Fiorillo, you're gonna want to watch out for that one. He's got all the salient stuff. We ready to rock and roll? Okay. Let's get cooking. 22 years. That's how long it took. That's how long one legal immigrant waited to become an American citizen. 22 years of paperwork, following rules, respecting our laws. He calls it the best day of his life after his children's birth. Meanwhile, millions pour across our border demanding rights they never earned. Tom Homan's ICE has rescued 9,000 missing children. But where are the advocates? They only appear when criminals face deportation. Legal immigrants who did everything right are watching their American dream get handed to lawbreakers. And they're speaking up. And their message is absolutely brutal. This is why we're seeing groundbreaking support from legal immigrants for Donald Trump. You know, we waited in line while you cut ahead. This is not right. What you're about to see is the rage of those who earned what others steal. You're going to want to keep watching. We got our next live read from TuttleTwins.com/next. When lawlessness becomes policy and your children witness the destruction of American values, you need truth on your side. That is why the Tuttle Twins created Liberty First content for kids. Their monthly magazine teaches economics, liberty, and responsibility through comics, activities, and real-world lessons. While schools indoctrinate, Tuttle Twins educate. Freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. Don't let your child fall victim to woke propaganda. Subscribe for just $56 per year at TuttleTwins.com/next. Teach them to think, not what to think. Because the battle for America's future starts in your child's mind today. Now, the anger is real and it's justified. Watch this legal immigrant confront illegal alien supporters. 22 years he waited. Every form, every fee, every rule followed. And he's right to be mad. Let's take a look at the clip.
I am a legal immigrant. I was born in Israel, and I came to America as a child, and my parents, they actually had to fill out applications, and I had to go get sworn in to get my citizenship. So why are these people, why are they allowed to cut the line when my family had no line to cut?
How long did that take?
Whatever it took, we stood by the line. Whatever this country told us was legal, we stood by that line.
Were you facing persecution?
I didn't come here illegally. I came here on a visa. I was a child. I came here legally.
Was your country persecuting you?
No, my country
was persecuting me, and I came here and I became an American citizen. I'm a legal alien.
My country wasn't persecuting me.
How long did that take?
For me to become a citizen, I did all the due process, man. Every due process, every paper. Years.
We don't care how long it takes.
Years. And even if it had taken 20 years, you know what? Let me tell you something. I've been here 22 years. You know when I became an American? A year ago. Best day of my life after the birth of my kids.
Okay, so can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Were you illegal before that day?
No, I was not illegal. I was following the rules. I was under visas. And the moment they said, this is one day over your visa, out. I was out. I was respecting the country that was welcoming me. That was giving me an opportunity and a chance.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Damn, it actually just left my head.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Oh, the question just left my head. Best day of my life. That's what citizenship, American citizenship, means to people who earn it. Not entitlement, not narcissism, but gratitude. Now, Jersey Joe drops the perfect analogy. Being hardworking doesn't excuse breaking the law. Listen to this common sense wisdom that destroys every pro-illegal argument. Let's take a look at clip 2.
And even so, if you're here illegally, you broke the law, you're hardworking, you got a family, that does not excuse you from breaking our laws. That'd be like saying, I'm going to go rob a bank because I want my family to have a better life. I don't have money, so I want to have a better things for my kids. So I'm going to rob a bank, but I'm hardworking. I'm a pillar in the community, and I've been living here for decades. You can't arrest me. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
It's pretty ridiculous. You can't rob a bank. You can't rob a bank because you want better things for your kids. You can't break the law. We have this euphemism, law-abiding illegal immigrants. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. You can't break immigration law. It's a simple truth. It's a simple truth. Now, where are the advocates for law and order? Tom Homan has the answer. They're nowhere to be found when it matters. Watch him expose their selective outrage. Take a look at clip 3.
The advocates when 500,000 children were smuggled in this country. Where are the advocates when the last administration lost track of 300,000 children? Where are the advocates with a significant increase in sex trafficking of women and children under the last administration because of the open borders? Where are the advocates for 250,000 Americans dying from fentanyl because of the open border? Where are the advocates then? Where are the advocates for the hundreds of angel moms and dads I met that were separated from their children because they buried their children, because their children were killed by an illegal alien? Where are the advocates then? I mean, they really about humanity and the safety and well-being of migrants. Where were they? Where 4,000 aliens died making the journey under the Biden administration? An historic high number of aliens died making that journey. Where are the advocates at? The advocates pick and choose. So it isn't about humanity. It isn't about protection. If you really care about the protection of illegal aliens or migrants coming to this country, where were they when 4,000 died making this journey?
This guy reminds me of Pulp Fiction. I think fast, I talk fast, and I'm going to need you to act fast if you want to get out of this. Now, pretty please, with sugar on top, close the border. 300,000 children lost under Biden. Likely sold into slavery. We are talking about child slaves because of Democrats. Now, you really care about these people. Let's show how much we really care. 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl. 4,000 migrants died making the journey. Where were the advocates then? Homan continues revealing what ICE actually accomplishes while the advocates are protesting. The hypocrisy is absolutely staggering. Let's take a look.
Well, I would add to that, where are the advocates for those that are being enslaved in the United States right now because of the exploitation of the cartels holding their families under scrutiny and threatening them, intimidating them with torture or death if they don't do their criminal activity here in the United States? Where are they advocating for them to be found, rescued, and gotten out from under the thumb of the cartel? Where are they for that?
Nowhere to be found. Where are they when the 300,000 missing children, we already found nearly 9,000 of them? Where's the thank you to ICE? Where's the thank you for ICE for taking 29 members of TDA off the streets of New York City 2 weeks ago? Where's the thanks for ICE for all the public safety threats they've taken off the streets? In Massachusetts, over a dozen illegal aliens who children. The men and women at ICE are doing a fantastic job. And as you and I discussed many times, immigration enforcement has always been controversial. It's always been emotional. I get it. But we really are doing the best we can to make this country safe again. And we continue. Okay, yesterday was a criminal investigation, have to do with money laundering, tax evasion, customs fraud, get that. But the majority of our time is spent arresting public safety threats and national security threats. But as I said many times, if you're in the country illegally, you're not okay. Either you can leave it on your own or eventually we'll find you. We're going to enforce the law. Entering the country illegally is a crime. And especially when you spend billions of dollars in due process. A federal judge said you must leave. You don't leave, you become a fugitive.
9,000 missing children found. 29 members of Tren de Aragua removed from New York streets. Rapists arrested in Massachusetts. That's what ICE does while protesters cry about enforcement. And meanwhile, in New York, Comptroller Brad Lander thought he could obstruct federal law enforcement, and he demanded warrants. He got handcuffs instead. Watch Law and Order in action. Let's take a look.
You don't have it. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I asked to see the judicial warrant. By asking for a judicial warrant? You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens asking for a judicial warrant.
We go too. Sorry. No way. Abstain. Where are you taking him? Hello. Hi, I'm Controller Press Secretary. Where are you taking the Controller of the City of New York?
And with what authority?
Why are you arresting the City Controller and where are you taking him?
Right? No! Security details. Number one is going to go with him, all right? Hang on for his number one. Hold on.
Who's number one?
That's his number one right here, all right? Thank you.
Tony said in the chat, she said, love me some Tom. I love me some Tom too. That guy's a man. He is an American badass. Now, where are you taking the comptroller? To jail. That's where. No one is above the law. I mean, even Arnold Schwarzenegger gets it. The Terminator himself came here legally, built an empire, and became governor. His message to illegals is crystal clear. Take a look.
If it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and it is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant that came to America, I was asked to do, on July 4th, a big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, and where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech that they asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate people becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart.
This is our last action hero. Can we back it up just like a quick second and pause on Whoopi Goldberg's face? Like, okay, it's okay. You got to look at Whoopi Goldberg's face. She's all like, "That's not why we brought you on The View. We thought you were going to come out here and shill for the Democrats. We thought you were going to come out here and eat your own." And then, of course, listen, when you come to America, you're a guest, you behave like one. This is what one of the most famous immigrants in the history of this country is sitting here saying on Democrat television. And you can see them all looking, you can see them all sitting there. Is this what we brought him on here for? Are you sure are you sure this is the message we want to send on The View? All right. To like the cackling hens, like who they just can't get enough of hating Trump. Let's call illegal immigration what it is. It's a foreign invasion. And we need to start treating it like one. Now, here is what burns legal immigrants the most. They sacrifice everything to come here correctly. Years of waiting, thousands of dollars in fees, background checks, medical exams, English tests, being sworn in that they proved they wanted to be Americans, not just live here in America and suckle off of the teat. And then they watch millions. They watch Democrats let millions of people skip the line, demanding benefits, waving foreign flags, committing crimes, getting protected by these sanctuary cities, which are insurgent cities, basically. They receive free healthcare, education, housing, all while legal immigrants who followed every rule struggle to pay taxes that fund illegal benefits. It's just not right. The Israel-born immigrant said it best. His family stood in line however long it took. This is a place worth migrating to. Whatever America required, he provided. No shortcuts, no excuses, no demands, just gratitude. Gratitude for the opportunity to be a part of this plenty. Now, that's the difference. Legal immigrants see America as a privilege to earn, and illegal immigrants see it as a prize to take. Legal immigrants bring value. Illegals bring demands. Legal immigrants assimilate. Illegals are trying to colonize this country. Now, Tom Homan and ICE are restoring justice. Every arrest, every deportation, every rescued children, sold into slavery by the Democrats. You know, they're honoring the legal immigrants who did it right by removing those who did it wrong. Now, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is coming up next. Now, let's talk about the audacity. No, the gall of those who enter this country illegally and then act entitled to demand rights, benefits, and special treatment. In the American vernacular, we call that unthinkable. You know, we don't roll into France waving flags and shouting for free housing. You know, we don't cross into Japan, overstay our visas, and riot in the streets when we're asked to leave. No, we get passports, we obey the rules, and we respect foreign nations as guests in their country. But here, I mean, Jersey Joe nailed it. Being hardworking doesn't excuse breaking the law. You can't rob a bank just because you want a better life for your kids. You can't break immigration law and expect some sort of applause. You know, meanwhile, as Tom Homan points out, the so-called advocates vanish when children go missing. Weird, right? Totally weird. When fentanyl floods our streets and children and kids start dying and people start dying, when ICE rescues trafficking, you know, while ICE is over there rescuing trafficked victims. Sanctuary politicians obstruct justice. Illegals cut the line while legal immigrants, those who earned it, get kicked to the curb and they end up paying the price. This is not immigration. This is not migration. This is an invasion. We need to start treating it like one. My question to you, and give us a shout in the chat. Should illegal immigrants who waited years get priority over any amnesty for illegals? Yes or no? Let us know. And if you want to support lawful immigration, get your next news gear in the link below. Now let's see what the chat room has to say about this. OE has a crush on Whoopi. Tom B42. Could you believe the look on her face? She's literally looking like a deer in headlights. She did not know what to do when Arnold Schwarzenegger dropped that bomb. They're like, that's not why we brought you on. That's not why we brought you here. We're here to shield for Democrats. You can't shield for Republicans. It sounds like you're supporting Trump. Kibbs Ellis, please make a short with the run over Hal and the eye guy. We'll get right on that. Sure you gospel. She looks like she ate several people. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. This is fantastic. Craig, Nebraska, reporting for duty. Hello, new dude. Hello to you too. Welcome to the home of the crazy N3 chat, folks. Start mashing the like button. Yes, we appreciate that. And thank you for your super chat. We really do appreciate that. All right, let's get cooking. The establishment wants war. The military-industrial complex needs their trillion-dollar conflict. And they're using Iran's nuclear program as an excuse. President Trump faces the toughest test yet, standing between the war hawks and World War III. The intelligence community claims that Iran isn't building nukes. Israel says they're weeks away. Tucker Carlson warns that this could destroy Trump's presidency. And Tulsi Gabbard quotes intelligence assessments. Meanwhile, Tehran burns and 13 million people wonder if they're next. What's really happening? Who's telling the truth? Why are the same people who lied about Iraq's weapons now beating the drums for Iran? The answer will determine whether we get peace through strength or another endless war. Keep watching. We got sculptnation.com/NNN coming up next. Let's be honest. Most guys think their testosterone is being drained by aging, bad genetics, or maybe even a lack of exercise. But what if I told you that's not the real reason? In fact, the real culprit is something you're likely eating every day. And here's the shocking part. If something you've always been told, it's something you've always been told is healthy. This one food has been scientifically shown to destroy testosterone levels. And most men have no idea. It's not junk food. It's not the sugar. It's something way more unexpected. And just eating it a few times a week is enough to tank your testosterone, kill your motivation, leave you drained. But here's the good news. Cutting that one food could change everything. The team at Sculpt Nation created Test Boost Max, a formula with 8 powerful natural ingredients that help support and restore healthy testosterone production without injections, without prescriptions, or synthetic hormones. They've helped thousands of guys build muscle, burn fat, reignite their energy, and get their drive back the natural way. And right now you can watch their free video that explains everything. What this food is, why it's hurting you, and what you can do today to take control of your body. Just go to sculptnation.com/NNN, sculptnation.com/NNN. Watch the video, get the facts, make the change. Test Boost Max is for men who still believe in strength, discipline, and taking charge of their health. No prescriptions, no BS, just real results. Now, the pressure is mounting on from all sides. President Trump knows the stakes. Prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon without starting World War III. That's the challenge that he's up against right now. Now watch him explain the fundamental absurdity of Iran's nuclear program. Take a look.
So how do you get to a solution there?
Oh, we'll get 100%.
You think so?
Well, we're going to have a solution one way or the other. It's either going to be violent or not violent. And I far prefer nonviolent. I know so many Iranians from New York, from Washington, from a different place. These are great people. You have to view them as people. And I don't want it to be a violent thing, but they're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
But you said it was close the other day. You said it was close to a deal.
I think it's close. I think,
so does that mean that they're going to enrich at any level, like a civilian level?
No, I think they want to make a deal. You say to yourself, they have massive oil, by the way. They have oil that lasts for 300 years. They have a lot of oil. People don't realize they're one of the biggest in the world. And it's very good oil, meaning it's pure, perfect stuff. They don't have to, spend a fortune on gases and energy in order to melt the rock and everything. They have pure, unadulterated, good oil. And you say, why does somebody that has that kind of oil, other than being politically correct, but when you have unlimited amounts of oil and gas, why are you putting up, why do you need civil nuclear? I just don't see it.
But I mean, are you going to call for it all?
And I think nuclear is fine. I think nuclear is fine for civil if you have a country with no oil. But if you're sitting on one of the largest piles of oil in the world, why are you talking about putting up nuclear civil? I call it nuclear civil.
I think he makes an amazing point. The only reason they want nuclear weapons is so they can destroy the West, right? But here's the takeaway that the media won't touch. Donald Trump doesn't see our adversaries as these cartoon villains, but he sees them as human beings. And it's because of that he doesn't want war. He wants to avoid it. Imagine that. A president who actually values life. Now let's talk Iran. They sit on 300 years worth of oil, the purest, most sought after crude on earth. And yet they claim they need this nuclear energy. Please get off it. I don't believe it. Let us know in the chat if you believe that or not. I personally do not believe it. That's like a billionaire panhandling for lunch money. Okay. Now Trump's stance is crystal clear. Iran will not get nukes. Period. No more kicking the can down the road. No more diplomatic games. No more pallets of sweet, sweaty cash. And when the so-called experts tried to downplay the threat, Trump called them out publicly. He said what everyone knows but won't say. Iran is a lot closer than they're letting on. They just punctured through Israel's Iron Dome. This isn't just foreign policy. This is moral clarity. Peace through strength. Truth over narrative. Take a look.
Mr. President, you've always said that you
don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon. But how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified at March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
I don't care what she said. This guy's such a G. You know, Trump trusts his instincts over intelligence reports, and this is why we elected him. You know, the same intelligence that missed Iraq's weapons of mass destruction now claims that Iran isn't building bombs. Crazy. You know, General Flynn provides the technical breakdown that explains Israel's urgency. This isn't speculation. This is a military analysis of Iran's actual capabilities. Take a look.
Good afternoon, everyone. Recent Iranian actions involving a provocative ballistic missile launch and an attack against a Saudi naval vessel conducted by Iran-supported Houthi militants underscore what should have been clear to the international community all along about Iran's destabilizing behavior across the entire Middle East. The recent ballistic missile launch is also in defiance of UN Security Council Resolution 2231, which calls upon Iran not to undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launches using such ballistic missile technology. These are just the latest of a series of incidents in the past 6 months in which Houthi forces that Iran has trained and armed have struck Emirati and Saudi vessels and threatened United States and allied vessels transiting the Red Sea. In these and other similar activities, Iran continues to threaten U.S. friends and allies in the region. The Obama administration failed to respond adequately to Tehran's malign actions, including weapons transfers, support for terrorism, and other violations of international norms.
It's been quite a while since we knew about Iran's nuclear, you know, their wishes to get a nuclear bomb. You know, when they discuss, you know, when they tried to take Israel, when the Ayatollahs and when, you know, the Muslim radicals tried to take Israel back in the 40s and the 70s, and I don't know, it seems like every couple of years they try to obliterate Israel from the face of the map. They say, first we're going to take Saturday, then we're going to take Sunday. First we're going to take Shabbat, and then we're going to take Sunday services, okay? They want the little Satan, and then they want the big Satan, okay? They're coming for us. And just like the rioter and the protester who's standing right in front of your car when you're trying to get home from work, when they create a threat for you, when they threaten your life, you're better off just believing what they say. Now, at this point, because of the Democrats and the liberals, we are weeks from a bomb. Not years, weeks. You know, everything is in place. The enriched uranium, the delivery systems, the underground facilities. You know, Israel could not wait for diplomacy. This is a matter of survival. You know, but here's where it gets complicated. Tucker Carlson, one of Trump's strongest supporters, issued a dire warning about the war hawks circling the president. Take a look.
What about Tucker? You know, he came out and did have a whole lot to say about this, but he had to be discredited too. So the president went after him, lashing out against popular conservative talk show hosts because he was coming out against the war. You know?
Well, what he was doing is he was saying, he started out this. He was talking to Steve Bannon yesterday, and he was saying, I love and respect President Trump. I think he's wonderful. I think he absolutely means well. He doesn't want things to go badly. But I'm going to warn him, if he drags us into this war with Iran, it's going to destroy his presidency. And the president's response to this, I don't care what that kooky Tucker says, Iran cannot get the bomb.
Look, when we say this is a wide 10, I totally agree with it. And to be honest, I love the libertarians. I deeply respect Ron Paul and Rand Paul, but to be honest, they're pissing me off lately. This is not. I'm not sure I feel like there's this like weird ideological thing that's happening here, and they're not just understanding the actual facts on the ground. You know, this is going to destroy Trump's presidency. You know, Tucker sees the trap, right? You know, the same neocons who gave us Iraq are pushing for Iran. You know, and Trump dismisses the warning, but you know, Tucker is not wrong about the danger. You know, and Ron Paul is, Daniel McAdams, they're not necessarily wrong about some of the risks, but same playbook as Iraq, phantom nukes justify a regime change. Like, let's take a look at this next clip.
The big argument right now is what are we in the United States up to? We hear a lot about what Netanyahu wants to do, and we hear about the nukes that are in the hands of those radical Iranians, and the world is being frightened by this, just as they were from Bin Laden and the other group. And when Iraq was having the story that, you got to get the nukes, you got to get the nukes. They're back to now radicalizing this whole thing about the nukes that the Iranians have. So that is a scenario they're talking about shifting a little bit, because that's everything you hear. I mean, if you talk to Trump, at one time he wanted to stay out of it, but now he says we got to get the nukes out. We're not going to do a thing unless we get all those nukes out. But now there are other people suggesting maybe the ultimate goal might be a little bit different than just finding the nukes. So when they finally got into Iraq, Saddam Hussein, he didn't have any nukes. And what they did was they changed the whole government, and now it was shifted over to a greater influence on the empire, has greater influence. But they continue to do that. The nuke is a good attention getter, and I think that is what they have done.
I deeply respect Rand Paul. I deeply expect the Pauls. Ron Paul, Rand Paul. But I think he's dead wrong about this. They have massive rallies where they cheer and chant death to Israel, death to America. Like, the Ayatollahs are sitting at our doorstep. They have nuclear ambitions. And to me, this is something that shouldn't and can't be ignored, especially due to recent events. We thought the Iron Dome was made of iron. We found out just yesterday, a couple days ago, that it's not made of iron, that it is porous, that it can be punctured. Okay? They obviously have more than what they're letting on. And since they're chanting in the streets, death to Israel, death to America, I think it's better, just like the rioters on the street who are sitting in front of your car as you are on the way home from driving your kids home. If they threaten your life, you're better off just believing what they say. And Trump's frustration has boiled over. He offered Iran a deal. They refused. And now their cities are burning and their people are suffering. And just like Trump says, he doesn't want people to die. He loves the Iranian people. He loves all people, I think. I really, truly believe that Trump does not want anyone to die, and he's going to make efforts to save lives. But let's be blunt, okay? Check out this next clip. Let him be.
Are you open to negotiating with the Iranians right now, or do you want to wait?
I don't know. I've been negotiating. I told them to do the deal. They should have done the deal. Their cities have been blown to pieces. They've lost a lot of people. They should have done the deal. I told them, do the deal. So I don't know. I'm not too much in a mood to negotiate.
They should have done the deal. Agree. There's no patience for negotiations at this point. I mean, bombs are dropping left and right. The window for diplomacy is closing very, very fast. But what does victory look like? Trump wants more than a temporary pause. He wants permanent resolution. Safe America. Let's take a look at the clip.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end. A real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So something that would be permanent.
Yeah. Or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you close there? Is that possible in the next 24, 48 hours?
Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible.
We had a couple of comments about Sun Tzu, The Art of War. what you need to do to win a war is to win completely, not a ceasefire, an end, complete capitulation or complete destruction. Both. I mean, no middle ground, no frozen conflicts where we continue to kick the can down the road and throw pallets of cash at people who hate us. Now, the situation escalates when Trump suggests evacuating Tehran. To me, this is an olive branch. This is Trump basically telling them, get out while you still can. We're not trying to kill you. Look, if we were all trying to kill civilians, like, it wouldn't be a hard thing to do for this country to do. We could end the whole thing. Like, we could easily do that. You know, the White House scrambles to clarify it. Take a look.
This is frankly bizarre and extremely reckless. Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. And then he said this, everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. That's shocking. Tehran is a city of 13 million people. And you can imagine if you're sitting there and says everyone should immediately evacuate, because that's what the Israelis do in Gaza before they go and bomb and kill all the civilians. So if I'm sitting in Tehran and he said everybody should immediately evacuate, I am absolutely panicking, thinking, is Israel going to drop a nuclear weapon on Tehran? Is Trump going to drop a nuclear weapon on Tehran? And as soon as he did that, the White House now started trying to explain, well, what the president really meant is that, and this is what they did with Biden. Remember, Biden would say some whacked out crazy thing, and the White House would say, well, what President Biden really meant to say, and now they're having to do it with Trump because he's unhinged right now.
Smoochy in the chat says, the art of war and the art of the deal all roll into one. I'm inclined to agree with you. Now, you know, these mixed messages create chaos. You know, is this psychological warfare or a genuine threat? Tehran residents don't know whether to flee or stay. Personally, I don't want to be there for what happens next. You know, even Democrats are fracturing. Chris Cuomo, the consummate liberal, the guy who hid out in his basement during COVID, is all of a sudden dropping truth bombs about his own party's moral collapse on foreign policy. Take a look.
Democrats openly play to socialism now. They're trying to drum up their own populist outrage to match MAGA. They support candidates who don't believe Israel has a right to exist. This is more demonic than democratic. It is proof of extremism corroding our culture.
Absolutely. Listen, I mean, we talked about this earlier. I mean, are we talking about a mental illness like narcissism or psychopathy, or are we talking about just a demonic possession? Because it's more demonic than democratic. You know, when your party supports those who want Israel destroyed, you've sort of lost moral authority. You know, but here's the brutal reality. Trump faces an impossible choice: allow Iran to get nuclear weapons and risk nuclear terrorism, or launch military action and risk something that we've all been dreading, World War III. And the war hawks, they want blood. The intelligence community says there's no threat. Israel says time is running out. Tucker warns of disaster, not just for the world, but for the Republican Party. And Tulsi is quoting assessments. You know, who's right? Everyone? Maybe everyone, maybe no one. Personally, I trust our president's instincts on this. You know, I really like how coy he is about certain things. She's wrong. I mean, Iran is probably closer to nukes than the CIA admits, but farther than Israel claims. We don't know. The regime is evil, but the people aren't. Military action might work, but it might spark a war. Trump trying to thread the needle, you know, maximum pressure without massive warfare. He knows the establishment wants another forever war. That suits their interests. You know, he knows the base elected him to end wars, not to start them, which is true. And this is just, I think that's just a part of the I don't think any conservative wants to send their kids to war and die. I mean, he knows Iran can't have nukes, but outright bombing them isn't going to solve the problem. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. This isn't about choosing between Trump, Tucker, and Tulsi. They all want the same thing. This is what I mean when I say that this party has a large tent. It's a big tent, and if you have been a lib your whole life, we will accept you and welcome you and cradle you in our ample bosom and hold you when the tears come. Okay. The disagreement is it's about tactics, not goals. Okay. I trust Trump's instincts, and I would heed the warnings from Tucker, from Tulsi, from the Pauls, from Rand Paul, from Ron Paul. But we elected President Trump as our president, and I say we go with his. I trust his instincts. That's all I'm saying. Now, the Iranian people, they're people too, and they are not all a part of the extreme religiosity that we see, who are called for death to Israel and death to America, who want to take Friday and then take Saturday and then take Sunday. But the world deserves safety, and we cannot rely on the Ayatollahs to help us out with that. America deserves peace. And can we achieve all of this without war? We're going to find out pretty soon. Now, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is coming up right now. This crisis exposes everything wrong with American foreign policy. Same liars who sold us Iraq now push for Iran. The intelligence community that missed every major threat says there's nothing to worry about. The military industrial complex smells profit in Persian blood, and we're caught in the middle. President Trump is trying to prevent nuclear terrorism without triggering World War III. Tucker could be right. A war could destroy the presidency. Maybe Tulsi's right. Intelligence has been wrong before. But Trump is right. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Like I said, I've said this 4 times in this show today. If someone is coming at you, claiming that they're going to kill you, you're better off believing them. I believe that they are all patriots, including Rand Paul, including Ron Paul, and they're attacking the same problem from different angles. The solution isn't choosing sides among allies. It's preventing the establishment from manipulating us into another disaster. Now, here's the real question. Can Trump achieve peace through strength without warmongers hijacking his agenda? Yes or no? Drop it in the clip. Drop it in the chat. Let's see what we got. Let's talk a little foreign policy here. Drop your answer below. Stand against the war machine. Get your next news gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Now let's see what we have in the chat. All right. We've got our little... All right, let's see what we've got cooking in the chat. We deserve the truth first, my friend. Duty to rebel. I totally agree with you 100%. We absolutely deserve the truth. Patricia Duff says, yes, he can. Do we trust Trump? Yeah, Rand Paul was the man. Still pots, not legal in Texas. Kibbs Ellis. You're absolutely right. Those libertarians are a little funny. Listen, I respect the Pauls. I really do. But they're not the president. He had his shot, and America picked their favorite. All right, their favorite is Trump. And funny thing about the Trumps, warming up to the monarchical situation here. They said no kings. I'm like, why not? if we had a king like that, if we got a king who treats us like that, I mean, it's just something to think about. I'm not a, like, you know, I believe a democratically elected king. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later this week. I'm gonna explore that and think about that and see if I can't get to the bottom of that. John Wick is the boogeyman, man. Tom B 420. Yes. He's got a lot of guns. Tony says 4D chess. Trump is very intelligent. I happen to agree with you on that. I really, really do. You know, when he says things like, well, Tulsi, you know, when he says, well, we'll see what they do, you know, to me, that's like 4D chess right there. He's like, sounds like something to think about. And I agree with him. You know what? There are some things that I just don't necessarily want to know about. I want to know that our commander-in-chief has it under control. That's what I want to know about. I don't necessarily need to know absolutely everything that's happening at every single moment in real time, because all that does is give our enemies the information they need to defeat us. Okay? It's pretty important. All right. Smoochy. If a nuke went off in Hiroshima, how could shops be open 3 days later? We have the best little army here. I love this place. I'm gonna check out the Discord chat afterwards, and we're gonna see. We maybe we can all sit down and have this out. That's an interesting take. Let's do the trivia answer. Okay. On June 17th, 1972, 5 burglars were arrested at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C., setting off a scandal that would bring down President Nixon. Which room number at the Democratic National Committee headquarters did the burglars break into? The answer is room 600. The burglars broke into the DNC headquarters located in room 600 of the Watergate office building, forever linking that number to American political scandal. Thanks, Uncle Todd, for that completely wild trivia question. Thanks to our producer Todd for okay. All right. Let's get to some final thoughts here. How about that? What a night, Patriots. 5 stories, 5 battles for America's soul. You know, we exposed the truth they desperately wanted to keep hidden. And we started with Trump's one big, beautiful bill, the most pro-small business legislation in American history. And while Democrats defended criminal aliens, Republicans delivered real relief. 1 million jobs. $750 billion in growth, 13,000 back in your pocket. Chuck Schumer lied about Medicaid cuts while protecting illegals who drain the system. Kelly Loeffler showed us what real leadership looks like. Main Street is about to boom like never before. Then we uncovered a political assassination. Melissa Hortman murdered in her home while police literally watched. 45 names on a kill list. A masked killer with a message: break ranks and die. Tim Walz scrubbed his social media. The mainstream media calls it random. We call it what it is: an execution designed to silence dissent. They killed her, her husband, even her dog. Someone sent a message written in blood. We witnessed entitled rioters learning that actions have consequences. Throw bricks at cops, lose an eye. Block roads in Florida, get run over. Ilhan Omar calls America the worst dictatorship, worse than the one that she fled. Mark Ruffalo blames billionaires while sitting on $100 million. $100 million. Can we conceive of how much money that is? That is a lot of money. The age of consequence-free chaos is literally ending. Reality doesn't care about your alleged victimhood. Legal immigrants erupted against line cutters. 22 years one man waited for citizenship. He followed every rule, paid every fee, proved his worth, and then he watches while millions invade and demand what he earned. Tom Homan rescued 9,000 children while advocates stayed silent. Brad Lander got arrested for obstructing justice, and even Arnold gets it. When you're a guest on the View, and you got Whoopi Goldberg looking at you like you got two heads on you, you know you did something right. Even Arnold gets it. When you're a guest, you act like one. And finally, Trump confronted Iran's nuclear nightmare. They were weeks away from the bomb, weeks, while intelligence agencies lied, while diplomats dithered, while Obama sent pallets of cash. Iran has been busy building weapons to destroy Israel and then to destroy America. First they come for Saturday, and then they come for Sunday. Now their program is turning into ashes. Their cities are turning into rubble. Their choices are simple: surrender or face annihilation. Personally, I don't want anybody else in charge of this other than Trump. No more games, no more lies, peace through strength. And to everyone who sent super chats tonight and Rumble rants, you are the heartbeat of this show. Your voice matters. Your support keeps independent media alive. And thank you for choosing truth over propaganda, facts over feelings, freedom over fear. Tell a friend about the raw feed. Text them the link. We're gonna obliterate our social media overlords by wiggling through the labyrinth that they've created for us. We're gonna get the message out there. Okay. Visit our merch shop and wear your values proudly. Every purchase supports real journalism. And tomorrow we will be back with more explosive truth that the establishment fears. They don't want us talking about this stuff. We're going to tell the stories that they don't want us to hear, the ones that they don't want us to tell, more voices that they can't silence, because this is your show, your movement, your America. My name is Brett Siegel, filling in for the great Gary Franchi. This has been The Raw Feed. Stay strong, stay free, and we will see you tomorrow. Good night, Patriots, American citizens. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's a place